Resembling a cross between a reptile and a fish, the gar fish is a family of long-nosed carnivorous animals that inhabit the freshwaters of North America. They make slow, languid movements through the water, but this merely hides how quickly they can strike at their prey. Although numbers are dwindling in some areas, the gar fish is not yet threatened by human activity. In Europe and Australia, gar refers to a different unrelated family of needlefish, which sometimes causes confusion. The most interesting physical characteristic of this fish is perhaps the most obvious. With its narrow body, protruding snout, and feather-like tail, it looks a bit like a dart. This is actually an important adaptation. The massive snout contains rows and rows of sharp needle-like teeth that help with crushing shells and consuming prey. Another important adaptation is the way that the swim bladder is connected directly to the esophagus. This allows the gar to breathe in air amid stagnant low-oxygen water. The largest species in the family is the alligator gar, which measures around 10 feet in length and weighs up to 350 pounds. This species also ranks among the largest of all freshwater fish in the world. The smallest species is the short nose gar at around 2 feet in length. The female tends to be larger than the male in the spotted gar and a few other species. Most of them have interlocking and protective bony plates known as ganoid scales, sometimes arranged in a diamond shape all over their bodies. These fish are largely confined to freshwater rivers, bayous, and other brackish water with low oxygen content, but a few species venture out into saltwater bodies as well. The fish floats slowly like logs in the water, sometimes plumbing the depths in search of food, but it must return to the surface occasionally to take in air. Although exact population numbers are unknown, the gar as a whole is in good health. According to conservation estimates, almost every species is listed as least concern, which is the best possible prognosis, but some local populations appear to be decreasing in number. For instance, the alligator gar is becoming rarer in states like Missouri and Tennessee. The fish's diet consists mainly of crustaceans, insects, frogs, and other fish. These slow-moving animals are opportunistic predators that scoop up nearby prey in its mouth with a simple strike of the head. It is not particularly picky about whether the prey is dead or alive. Because of its status as an apex predator throughout its natural habitat, they have few natural predators besides humans. The biggest threat to this animal is not necessary fishing, as they are uncommonly eaten as food, but hunting and pollution have caused some population numbers to decline. No matter where they live, most species, with the exception of the long-nosed gar, prefer to spawn in the spring. The females move to the shallow water and then deposit on vegetation thousands of large-sized sticky eggs with yolk contained within. These eggs are actually toxic to many predators, including humans, which affords a degree of protection, though some fish appear to be immune to the toxin. After a few days, the young larvae emerge from the eggs and then attach to the vegetation with an adhesive organ at the tip of the snout. The young juveniles survive the early stages of life by absorbing what remains of the egg yolk and later by feeding on minnows and other fish larvae. Life expectancy varies by species, but the fish reaches sexual maturity after a few years and lives about 10 to 20 years in the wild, though the alligator gar appears to live 50 years or more. In many species, the female tends to live longer than the male. This is not a very common type of dish, especially outside of its native region, but it is sometimes caught by both commercial and recreational fishers by simple nets or fishing rods. People describe it as having a firm, mild taste, different from any other species of fish. Their flesh is not harmful on its own, but it does sometimes accumulate toxins and pollution from the environment, and so consumption is limited or banned in some areas. By contrast, the eggs are most certainly toxic and may cause a bout of sickness.